All right, guys, we're going to try to make today's lesson pretty quick since you've really already been diving into this. I just want to give you an overview and specifically the three people in ancient Athens who helped develop democracy in ancient Athens. So just where it all started, democracy actually comes from a Greek word, demokratia, which means people, power, and now we have kind of defined democracy as rule by the people. In America, we always say government for the people and by the people. So we've already talked about this, but let's keep reviewing it. The geography of Greece is divided by mountains. Greek communities were isolated because of that geography, and there are many disputes and many issues that go on with the different type of governments. So today we're going to focus on that one type of government, which is democracy in Athens. Okay, so democracy in Athens developed because of three Athenian rulers. The first one was Solon, the second is Cleisthenes, and the third is Pericles. They all varied differently in what they allowed in democracy. We're going to talk about each one of them individually, so you don't have to write everything down until we get to them. But they allowed citizens to vote, and Athens developed into a direct democracy through the three of them moving Athens that way. However, it's important for you guys to note that although this is a democracy and it's the first democracy, Athens isn't all rainbows and butterflies. Really, only 1 in 5 people in Athens were allowed to vote. There was still slavery in Athens. Women had almost no rights in Athens. So this isn't this wonderful paradise and utopia, but it is a move in the right direction for democracy. Here's some statistics of who was really allowed to vote. So of the total population of 240,000, I just pointed with my finger, you guys can't see that, right here, only about 30,000 people were actually allowed to vote. The men who were citizens, they had to be men, they had to be of the right age, and they had to own land. Women could not vote, children could not vote, and medics and slaves could not vote. Pause this video right now and go to the link under Moodle. Under this one, there's 2 links. The second one says TED Ed video. Watch that one. It's about 5 minutes explaining the system of democracy a little bit better than I think I can. All right, thank you for unpausing me. So before democracy, the aristocrats ruled. Aristocrats are just the rich people of a civilization or a society. So in the very beginning, just like almost any civilization, kings ruled the government. But after the kings ruled and the tyrants kind of took over, aristocrats did not like that. So the aristocrats, the rich landowners, they took power and kind of created this oligarchy-like system where really it was just pretty well known that only the rich could rule Athens. So it's a government in which only the top social class has power. They ran the city's economy. They served as the generals in the army and the judges. And a group of rebels tried to overthrow this government, but eventually failed. So you can see how an aristocracy would not be great for the rest of the civilization because if they're serving as the judges and running the economy, they're not going to make any government rules for the poor to rise up through the ranks, and they're certainly not going to be pass bad judgments on the wealthy class. So it's really an aristocracy really oppresses the poor. Democracy ends up starting in 594 BC or BCE when Solon creates a social pyramid, and he allows, instead of just the top class, he allows the top 3 classes to hold office. In 508 BCE, Cleisthenes eliminates traditional groups, and he is actually known as the father of democracy. It's important for you guys to know that. He actually institutes voting. And then in 460 BCE, Pericles creates a direct democracy. So let's move into those guys specifically. Solon lives from 640 to 560 BC, which is 80 years, which is a long time to live in the ancient world. He's born into the modest family, but he's able to attend school, so he's well educated and well respected. He served in the military in his 30s and 40s, again, allowing him to kind of be well respected for his service in the military. He gains power in the government in 594 BCE, and he restructures Athens politically and socially, allowing, like I said, those top three classes to be able to hold power. Each group of people is granted a certain political opportunity and certain political rights. So this isn't completely a democracy yet where people are voting for laws, but it is giving more power to the poor and a little bit less power to the rich, just because they had to divide it into three groups now. He freed anyone who was enslaved for having debts, and he canceled all debts. That's a huge move. That is a huge move. So the poor really liked him at this point. Not only did they gain power politically, but also anyone who was indebted was freed. And then he allowed any male citizen of Athens that was aged 18 or older to debate laws. So now you're actually allowed to come forward and say what you do or don't like about laws, which is really the first stepping stone in freedom of speech. However, Solon, the poor people begin to get greedy, and they do not they don't think he's doing enough for the poor, and the rich people think he's doing too much for the poor. So Solon can't really find a backing or a group that really follows him, so he gets kind of kicked out of office. Cleisthenes is born in the late 570s. We know he's dead, but we don't know exactly what year he died. He is a member of one of the most powerful families in Athens, making him an aristocrat, but he didn't think it was okay for the aristocrats to rule only. So he overthrew the aristocracy. He developed the world's first democracy, calling him the father of democracy. He allowed all citizens in Athens the right to participate in the assembly. The assembly is a lot like our current House of Representatives. It is a place that they would meet often on the top of the Acropolis and go there, and all Athenian citizens were allowed to vote. Every citizen had the right to speak his opinion. So now we are just moving forward on Solon's idea of freedom of speech, and voting was done by a show of hands, but sometimes they use secret ballots. So the important thing for you to get out of Cleisthenes is he develops the assembly, and he really actually allows people to vote for the first time. And Pericles. Pericles is the ruler of Athens during the Golden Age. We'll talk about Pericles a whole lot more. He again is a member of an aristocratic family, but supported democracy. He becomes the leader of a democratic group in 460 BC. He reformed and strengthened democracy. He made it so that the city had to pay taxes so that poor citizens could hold public office, because poor citizens could not spend their entire day working in the government because they could not support themselves. So now they get a salary for being in the government. He made reforms to the Constitution. He gave the poor citizens more rights, and he actually gave them their own assembly that they could assemble in and vote laws on. He constructs the Parthenon, and he's the ruler during the times of all the great philosophers, the great artwork, and all that good stuff, the golden age of Athens. I'm going to read an excerpt real quick from his funeral oration when he died. So it said, "Our Constitution favors the many instead of the few. This is why it is called a democracy. If we look to the laws, they give equal justice to all. Advancement in public life falls to one's reputation for good work. Social classes is not allowed to interfere with someone's merit, and poverty does not block the way. If a man is able to serve the state, he is not stopped by the obscurity of his condition. The freedom which we enjoy in our government extends also to our ordinary life. There, far from being jealous of each other, we do not feel called upon to be angry with our neighbors for doing what he likes. But all this ease in our private lives does not make us lawless as citizens. We still obey the magistrates and the laws." So this is, Pericles had this read at his funeral, wanting to inspire the Athenian people to continue the democracy. And it goes to show just how important democracy was to the Athenians. War was incredibly important to the Spartans, and they based everything around war. The same thing was the same view of democracy was that way in Athens, that they felt everyone had the obligation to serve in the democracy. And that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. Please make sure you watch that TED Ed video if you haven't yet, and have a great day.